We're going to go ahead and get set up here. I was interrupted by a family member who was trying to fix something on their computer, and we fixed it. But yeah, sometimes people have problems following instructions, even when you're very explicit. So take your time, relax. It's not the end of the world if something doesn't work. It seems like it's super important, but generally most of the time the problems are really easy to fix. It just takes somebody who knows what they're doing, or it takes being able to follow instructions. So, like with anything, I got completely derailed over the last hour and a half. I was going to go ahead and do a stream of me installing the latest version of Ubuntu on the Framework laptop, just getting it set up. I had already done some yesterday, but I didn't have the correct drive. So the drive that I had yesterday was not a M.2 PCIe, or it was an M.2, but it was not an NVMe drive. So it is possible that the older style is not compatible with the newer style, and that's just something you have to recognize. So anyways, without further ado, I'm going to get started on what I intended to do a while ago. But it's like most things. When you get started on something, somebody will call you, or you'll get distracted. Turns out my family member gave them an iPad. They didn't tell them the name of it, and the name was a funny name, so they didn't recognize it. But they didn't know the name of the iPad that they owned, and they didn't know that they should change their password if somebody if you think your devices are compromised or your passwords are compromised, sign out of all your accounts as quickly as possible and then change your password. Or change your password and say sign out of all your other accounts. But being as it is a family member, it's going to take longer than you thought it would. And they're going to be not as considerate as you would expect of a stranger. Like, they called me back 20 minutes later after they had failed to do what I asked them to do. And didn't listen to my instructions at all. But thankfully, it wasn't a real issue. So there's that. Okay. We've got the keyboard off. Nice little. You can replace the keyboard if you want. And you can also replace the touchpad if you want. Seems easy enough. But that's how quick that was. Now, thankfully, this sucker's already off. All I have to do now is install the storage drive. So, go ahead and unhook this. Set that off to the side. And a quick install. I mean, I have my moments with technology as well. So I can't be too upset. It's just, if you have an issue with a piece of hardware and like you keep stopping to do other things, just realize that you're being rude to the person who's trying to help you. That's all. Call them when you're as prepared as you can possibly be. And if you can't be prepared, just have them come over. I live 20 minutes away, and it would have been faster for me to drive there. Okay, and we've got that. That's installed. Flip it over. As you know, this is one of the easiest cases to open up on a laptop I've ever seen. I mean, granted, changing memory and SSDs is really easy on some of the laptops, but this one it's literally 5 screws to get in there. 6 screws if you include opening up the SSD. If you're replacing RAM, you wouldn't even have that. You'd just be plopping in the new RAM. Okay, so that's step 1 done. Then I will go ahead and plug this sucker back in. This is the drive that has Ubuntu on it, and we're going to try to get this installed. I know no one is interested in this except for me, because I normally stream video games. But we're going to go ahead and get this sucker going. So it says in the upper left hand corner, Ubuntu, Ubuntu Safe Graphics, OEM install for manufacturer. We're going to go ahead and go with OEM install for manufacturer. And this was the part that I was getting hung up on the other day. I'm not even going to bother to check to see if this is going to work, because I'm pretty sure I made all the mistakes that I'm going to make yesterday. And it will take me a minute, and I may have to restart the stream on the new framework laptop after I get OBS installed. I mean, that's the plan anyways. It's one thing if it's just my frustration, but if it's another person's frustration on top of my frustration, it goes bad very quickly. And like, I love technology, so running into a problem, I'm generally like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, you can see here, we've got the, what is that? Some sort of monkey. Okay, we're going to go ahead and give this a unique ID. Let's call it, unique name for this batch of systems. Okay, this batch of systems is going to be Nate's laptop. Nate's laptop. There we go. Keyboard layout, US, continue. I want to connect to my Wi-Fi, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Close that for a second. So you don't want to show your password online. If I remembered my own password, so I'll just go ahead and sign in. If I can open up the frickin' drive. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and do install third party. This is unfortunate, but it's something that we have to do. And I'm going to add my own password to this, so I'll just do that off screen real quick. Okay. So I've got my boot password started. And we'll go ahead and start that back up. Erase disk and install. Okay, so we've got features that I didn't have yesterday. NVMe. NVMe is showing up, so that's already better than yesterday. Go ahead and click continue. Sure, I'm on New York time. computer's name is going to be Nate's laptop. You pick a username. Oh, so just what? So many passwords. Okay, I just have to remember these passwords. I'm going to use this for probably a month, and then I'll switch out which operating system I've got on it. Okay. Sorry for the continual whiplash. So we're just going to have this installed. We already have Wi-Fi. We've got the new NVMe drive being picked up, so that's not a problem. Next is going to be getting a functional browser, and I'm going to be installing a password manager. And then from there, I can go and install all the other crap that I want. I definitely recommend doing picking up a password manager, because it makes a huge difference to your security levels. And Ubuntu is going to install some software which I don't necessarily like, but they do have things like Brave, which is a browser that I recommend to anyone who's slightly security conscious. And this is obviously not going to be the only iteration. I'm going to eventually install Arch, but if you wanted to get a free version of Ubuntu, Ubuntu is super easy. It's an easy transition if you've been using Windows your entire life. All you have to know how to do is use Balena Etcher and be able to download something from the internet. And that's really a good starting point, and you can probably get this installed if you don't even have to build the computer or do anything else. I mean, that was the unbuilt version of this. This was the $700 base model. I added a couple things like a wireless driver and these modules. So the 4 modules that I have on here, these 4 modules I bought independently. I bought them from their website. So it cost me closer to $800. And the charger was like, I think, $60, which is a bit pricey, but it's the newer style of chargers, so it's extra small. And this will almost be ready. Like, I might be able to boot from hard drive pretty soon. So just to give you an idea of the charger size, living dangerously. So charger size is pretty small. I just unplugged it from the wall, but it's C-type, so it's capable of something like 60 watts. I'll just plug that in real quick. Just want to make sure I'm in front of the laptop in case it decides to fall. Seems to be good. And we'll take a look at the technical specs. I'll probably have to sign off and start, but I'm going to try to get OBS on here and then get this thing ready for streaming. This may act as my streaming PC in the future, because right now all I do is have a 2-monitor setup, and it's not perfectly ideal for what I'm doing, because what ends up happening is a lot of the CPU is used to run OBS, as well as the two webcams, which is unfortunate. Also, the really cool thing about this is it really only takes the one screwdriver to do everything. They give you this with the laptop. Not that it's a super expensive piece, but it's a well-built little screwdriver with the spudger on the side. And it takes almost nothing to crack this thing apart. You saw it took me less than 5 minutes to install the NVMe. It's going to take me longer to install the other software, and it literally would have taken me less than 30 minutes yesterday. It would have taken me maybe 20 if I weren't taking my time on it and pointing out features. So the other thing that they have is this removable bezel, and then they've got this thing to turn off the microphone and to turn off the webcam, like a physical switch to turn off the webcam, which is fantastic if you're security conscious. The fan is a bit loud. You can hear that. I don't have it plugged in right now. The speakers on it are pretty dang good, in all honesty. For a laptop, the speaker quality is pretty decent. Yeah, so it is done. You need to restart the computer in order to use the new. Okay, we'll go ahead and restart it and remove the media. Okay, press enter, and we should see it should start up from the NVMe drive. We just made a fresh install of Ubuntu on that drive, so it shouldn't be any sort of issue. Continue boot. Sorry for the excess light. Turn that off so you can see it a little bit better. You can see framework, Ubuntu, and we're going to be good to go. So I do not have that in the USB installed, which means we successfully have installed Ubuntu onto this. Now what I need to do is install the other software that I'm going to use. And I will switch over once I have OBS installed. But I want to install Brave first, and then I'll install OBS. And the software catalog is pretty quick and easy on Ubuntu. It's very similar to like the Apple Store thing that they have, whatever they call it. And it's kind of like the Microsoft Store. The Microsoft Store kind of sucks, though, in comparison. So, for whatever reason, it is not starting up. We'll go to Wi-Fi. I mean, you can see how easy it is to just look stuff up. We've got Wi-Fi. I'm going to go ahead and sign into my Wi-Fi real quick. Okay. I'm now connected. I'm now connected to Wi-Fi, and we're going to go into that, and I'm going to go into search, if I can find it, under Explore. Okay, so we've got that. We've got calculator installed. We've got a few other things. I'm going to install Brave because that's my preferred browser. Super straightforward install. And then I need to, once again, put in my password. Okay. So you should just be able to install that right now. Oh, it's not allowing me to install it. Interesting. Okay, so it had to install an underlying program, or it's not going to let me install it, which is fine. We can also look at other things. Updates installed. What is this? Installed. Core terminal. other software. Explorer. We'll go ahead and do OBS. OBS. See if they have it already in Ubuntu. Okay, so I'm going to have to do a few things, but so far we've got the operating system on here. That's not a problem. So if you do run into issues, you can still download stuff off the internet. I mean, that's obviously a way you can do things. Auto updater. It's got some updates. Go ahead and say install now. So this is not a rolling release. So eventually I want to switch over to Arch, which is a rolling release. It's just a little more complicated. It takes a little bit more time to set up, and it's not directly compatible. Like you can get it to work on the framework laptop. This was just the fastest way to get a fully open source computer. It's as open source as you can get on the market today. All the schematics, I believe, are available. There's some proprietary stuff still in there, but they added the browser, or they added the Wi-Fi specifically for the framework laptop into the latest release of Ubuntu 21.04 or whatever it's called. So I'm not the most knowledgeable person, and I'm probably going to defer to someone like Chris Titus Tech or DistroTube or one of the various fantastic YouTube people who does Linux stuff. I kind of just want to go through and get something installed so I can show you that, yeah, you can do stuff on the computer immediately with open source software, as open as you can possibly be. Of course, I could have said, no, I don't want to install proprietary drivers when I first initialize the system, but I need to have the that enabled for the Intel Wi-Fi card. Yeah. So in terms of its specifications, we can go into, I believe it's for settings, we can go into is there an about? I don't remember. About system, device name, Nate's laptop, hardware model, framework laptop, memory, 7.6 gigs, processor, 11th generation Intel Core i5 1135G7, 2.4 gigahertz times 8 cores. Graphics, Mesa Intel Xe graphics, TGL GT2. Disk capacity, 50.1 gigabytes. Operating system name, Ubuntu 21.1. OS type, etc., etc. Software updates. And basically we're just updating everything. That's pretty much it for this. I would love to get OBS installed, because that's the next thing on my list of stuff to do. So we'll try to do that. OBS. And we'll just go ahead and do that. The OBS project is Open Broadcaster Software, and there should be downloads for it. And we're going to go with Linux. Linux available. Linux release is available officially for Ubuntu 18.04 and newer. FFmpeg is required. Sudo app install. Okay, they even have the instructions here, so this is a great opportunity for me to open up the terminal. So we'll open up terminal and say sudo app install ffmpeg, and then I'll just put in my password once again. I don't think you can see it from there, so let's do that. Hopefully I put it in there correctly. So yeah, so we're just going to follow the commands. So they have the commands for the Linux build for OBS right there for you to do. Super straightforward, super simple. And sometimes it's that easy, sometimes it's a lot more difficult, but generally speaking, things have gotten so much easier for Linux now, and you get like 4% or 5% more out of your CPU because the resources aren't being hogged by the operating system. So you have way more access or way more control over what you're capable of installing on your computer. I think it's a fantastic way to do things. And then install OBS Studio using sudo app. I could just copy this as well. So we can just say, we'll copy that. Okay. If I can get the mouse to work, Control C. And then I think I have to right click in here. Yep, so I have to paste like that, and we'll just go like that. Adding repository. So OBS will basically be installed after this. Because I want to show as much of this process as I can live on stream, just to show that it's not that complicated to do a lot of this stuff. It's just more that you have to understand a little bit of what to do. Me troubleshooting this yesterday, it took me a while to figure out that I had the wrong type of drive. It took me way longer than it should have. But that's what I get for being cheap. That's what happens when you see a deal and you're like, oh, that looks fantastic. And then you just forget to check that it's going to actually be compatible. So always worth spending a couple extra minutes to make sure that something is compatible with your system. Description, latest stable release of OBS. Press enter to, oh, I'm supposed to press enter. Yeah, normally with this you can tell if you're progressing because the text will go down and it will prompt you occasionally to say yes or no, or pick out some configuration that's better. So basically just downloading OBS. It's almost done, a little more than half, 62 out of 70, done. Now it's going to unpack all the packages and it should be installed. What I should be able to do now is say OBS and it will pop up. We now have OBS installed in like under 5 minutes. It's pretty quick. The thing that I didn't get, that I was saying I was upset that I couldn't get, was Brave. The reason I want Brave is because it's actually relatively secure, and it's a good mix between being a little bit more secure. Okay, release installation, sudo app install, transport. Okay, so we'll just do Control C, and then we'll say terminal. Yeah, I'll just close out of that. Yeah, that's fine. Close terminal, and it should close down OBS. And then we'll go ahead and open up terminal. And we'll go ahead and paste. Oh, that didn't work. It should be sudo app install. Go ahead and put my password in again. So that should be all set. I should actually see what else is required. that's fine. It should be fine. Release channel. Get him. Okay. So we'll just say Control C and then switch back to this. Paste. Okay, that didn't do anything. Control C. Ideally, I'd be explaining all this, but I don't quite understand how like what it's doing. I think that's just putting in that should be added to the update. Oh, that didn't work because for whatever reason it's putting in this 200. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and then sudo apt update. Okay, so that should update all the packages, and then say sudo apt install Brave browser, and that should be it. That's pretty much it to get it configured the way I want to get it configured in the first 30 minutes. So to install the operating system took less than 15 minutes. Now we're installing the other software. I'm going to switch over. I'll end the stream, and then tomorrow I will do a stream from this machine, just so you can see what it's like. I just need to confirm to make sure that Brave is on here, which shouldn't be a problem. Should be software is up to date. Fine. We should have OBS and we have Brave. Yeah, we are good, which means, so I'll just go ahead and demonstrate a couple of the features. YouTube might get a little upset. We'll just So we'll just, you can see it started up right away, no loading. That's because Brave has an automatic ad block built in. And they have all the features that Chrome has. You can install things like password managers. Basically, you can install all the stuff that you can install on Chrome onto Brave because it is based off of Chrome. Some people might dislike that. I personally don't really care, as long as you use the private mode. They have Tor built in, they have AdBlock built in. It's a fantastic browser, and if you don't want to like overthink it, it's a good way to get started. So anyways, that is it for tonight. I'm gonna get familiar with it, and then maybe I will, actually tomorrow I'll probably stream from this device just to check out some of the settings, see how well it works, and then get familiar with, see how good the mic is, see how good the webcam is. I don't expect the mic to be as good as this one because I've got a whatever blue black edition, but the idea is going to be, okay, this is getting into a decently spec'd computer for about $1,000, like $1,050, and being able to do streaming with it and that type of thing, and it being completely open source. That's the plan for this sucker. I really like the 4:1 aspect ratio. So it's not a 16:9, so it's not what you would think like 1080p or anything like that. I'll have to look into that, and I'll go into the specs a little bit more tomorrow. I just wanted to get this thing up and running tonight because I got the hard drive in the mail today. So just make sure when you buy something that it's compatible. Double, triple, quadruple check. But that's it for tonight. At least for this portion of the stream. I'm going to go ahead and close this up and set it out of the way. As for the other stuff, if you are ever concerned about passwords, just reset it. Like, honestly, if you have problems resetting your passwords because you can't come up with something, I highly recommend the let's switch over to this. So we go to use Brave real quick, and we'll go to XKCD password. This is probably one of the best little articles that you can possibly get on doing the password stuff. So I'll just go ahead and put that in the link just so it shows up in the video. And obviously you're not going to remember something like this. Maybe your brain works like that. I like to do this, but then capitalize letters and then add numbers at the end as well as punctuation. If you add a little bit of leet speak in there as well, it's going to make it much harder for people to crack it. Either way, that's kind of where I'm at tonight. Overall, we got that done. Oh, I've got my other laptop over here. So the build quality is very similar to like a MacBook. I would say it's on par with a MacBook in terms of its build quality, but you can also take it apart very quickly. And the iFixit repair rating, if you're getting into it, the iFixit repair manuals, they have, I think it was that framework. Repairability, 10 out of 10. Easiest one. It literally it's fantastic. So I'm super happy with it. Oh, I was wrong. It's a 3:2 aspect ratio. That's interesting. Overall, I'm super happy with it already. I haven't tried out the Bluetooth module. I guess the one that I have was with that. And I haven't tried out the front-facing camera or the fingerprint reader. I didn't even bother with the fingerprint reader. So, yeah, I'm just going to chill out for the rest of the night, maybe play some games, get some other stuff done. Get some streaming done. We'll go ahead. Oh, I got to update England. New headphones are a little short. My other ones were not working correctly. Let's see, did we get that? Maybe get some tunes going. See who else is on. Yeah, in terms of like what I need to work on, I think I need to work on flicking. Of course it's going to be flicking. Tasks, flicking. Grid shot, motion shot, scatter shot. What's scatter shot? I'm trying to remember what this one was. This side's pretty easy. I haven't done it for a while, so I should get a higher rating than I normally do. I think I have the settings. That seems about right. We'll double check. Yep, that is correct. This is a good combination of two skills, clicking and micro adjusting. Up 3%, not terribly good. I like how Twitch doesn't like my stream from here, so what I'm going to do is just escape, get out of this, make sure Twitch is operational. Oop. And why is Twitch not logging in? Twitch just didn't want to load in. Oh, that's right. I added an authenticator. Huh. I forgot that I did that. Cool. Streaming hardware engineering. It's not having a problem with my sound. Okay. Either way. Yeah, so we've got AimLab up and running. Do that for like 10 minutes and then call it a night. Training. Actually, I already have trained this today. Okay. Ultimate flicking. This one's an absolute pain in the ass. It's an absolute pain in the ass. My high score is 8,777. The goal is to stay on the line the whole time. That's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. That's my highest score on that. Still pretty low. We'll do a couple more of those. Shows you how inefficient my movements are. Kind of like that one though. I'm sure it might take me a really long time to trace the line, but worth it. It's pretty good. It's kind of like a combination of tracking and flicking. Because it's the fastest path for flicking. I'm not good at this. I'm actually terrible at this, but that's okay. Everyone has to start somewhere. I wonder how that one actually works. Okay, since no one's watching, I'm gonna call it a night. Said I would call it a night sooner. I'm probably just gonna chill. So, peace guys, have a good one. I am ending it.